Hey everybody, it's Ed Conarchy. Welcome back to this week's version of Conarchys Corner. And last week in Conarchys Corner, I got you a little bit focused on why we need to financially plan for our futures. We didn't always have to do this. Mom and Dad, Grandpa and Grandpa didn't have to take on what we have to take on. Last week I pointed out the biggest reason is inflation. That inflation is kicking along at 3.2% annually. That means the cost of everything is going up 3.2% on an annual basis. If you play that out, that means 23 years from now, the cost of everything that you pay for today will double. So we do have to stay ahead of inflation. That's why we have to make sure we do the right things with our money today versus letting it run away from us and be behind the eight ball. That we need to stay ahead of the curve. So watch last week's Conarchys Corner if you haven't seen it. Go through the specifics of why we need to plan. Today I want to concentrate on why we plan. There are 4 reasons that are specific to why most people are out there planning today. There's 4 huge money needs on the horizon for most of us. Number 1 is to send our kid to college, or in my case, kids. A lot of us have multiple responsibilities there. The second thing is to help an aging parent. The third thing would be to get to a comfortable retirement and be able to retire ourselves, husband and wife. And then lastly will be, if you do have plenty of money, is to give back to your community through charities and charitable organizations and to help them if you have money to do that. So those are the 4 reasons that we plan. And as I tell everybody, one of the things about planning is that we've got to look at the big picture, that this is not a detailed decision. And a lot of times we see that we're programmed to the details, that a lot of us are focused on the specifics, and we've got to take a step back. I've always said this before, that financial planning is about holistic advice, looking at the big picture and then working our way down to the details, not focusing on the details and then working our way back up. And the goal that we have for every client is for a client to get to financial security. So that's a big picture goal that we have to focus on. How do we get someone to financial security? Not what kind of interest rate you have on your mortgage, or what kind of yield you're getting on your investments, or should you do, in the mortgage perspective, a 15-year fixed or a 30-year fixed. Those are the details. And what we tend to do is get so focused on the details we lose sight of the big picture, the number 1 goal of reaching financial security. So what I teach all my clients is a focus on the big picture. A lot of people, when they call me and ask questions about mortgages, are surprised when I start asking them questions about their big picture. And they want to just focus on the mortgage. Well, focusing on a detail will get us in trouble. There's a great analogy of that. You know, if someone asked me for directions on how to get to the water tower in Chicago on Michigan Avenue, if I just told them take a left off of Ohio onto Michigan and you'll just go down and see it on your left-hand side, those are the details. I told you how to get to water tower, but I didn't take a step back, because if you were driving in from Kansas, that would be hard to just know how to get to that point without planning ahead of time. So we've got to look at planning the big picture and then working our way down to that last turn to get us to our desired goal. And that's what my focus is with everyone. As you know, I've been doing mortgages for 20 years now. This year, the year 2010, will mark my 20th year in the mortgage industry. And about 5 years ago, I found that I was doing that not only in my personal situation, but also with all my clients, just focused on the mortgage. But now I've taken a step back. I've gotten a Series 65 license, and I've worked very hard on financial literacy so I can teach all my clients how to get to financial security. And I'm licensed to do this. And it's important because a lot of the people out there today that you hear a lot about are not licensed to give financial advice. It's amazing when I talk to clients, some of the big names out there that a lot of my clients have heard of, because they're in the media, they're in newspaper, they're on TV shows. You see a lot of them. 2 examples that come to mind right away is Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey. What's amazing is that I'm licensed by FINRA, that's the Federal Industry Regulators, Financial Industry Regulator Authority that looks over professionals like myself that are giving financial advice and investment advice. I'm licensed to do that, and we work with clients and manage their money to do that. Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey don't carry those licenses. In fact, they don't manage money for anyone. So one of the favorite sayings I've always remembered as growing up as a kid is, be careful who you get your advice from. Because if you're getting your advice from someone who doesn't have a long-term interest or a long-term goal for you or benefits from your long-term success, you've got to watch where you get that money from. Remember, if you know me, I'm in contact with you on a regular basis, and I care about your long-term success. That's why I follow up with you on a weekly basis. Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey, once they give you a piece of advice, they probably know they'll never hear from you again. They don't care about your long-term successes. But myself and the person that I recommend you should be listening to for personal financial advice, Rick Edelman, it's the opposite. We have to know that we're going to be with you on this ride for 20, 30, 40 years, so we've got to look out for your best interest holistically and long-term, not just what sounds good today. It's really important to understand here the big picture, that we've got to get us focused and planning on getting you to financial security, not just the details of getting rid of a mortgage. So make sure we understand that. And in regards to a lot of people that are out there that tell you all about getting rid of your debt, that's important. We have to manage it. But remember, debt's a detail. It's not the big picture. And what's I think important to understand about debt elimination is maybe you accomplish that goal of debt elimination, but can you sustain the goal? I don't see too many people, because life happens and there's always money needs, that can always sustain debt-free living. It's a very hard thing to do when life is thrown at you. You have to react. The example that I use here, the analogy I use here, is the person who loses a lot of weight only to gain it back again. That one day you may be able to get to debt elimination and following Susie or Dave Ramsey's advice, but can you sustain it? That's the key. That this could be just painted as the Holy Grail, and that's always something hard to get a hold of. So we've got to understand that and look at it from a big picture side. And I'll close with this thought. Remember, it's not about dying with no mortgage. That's not the goal. What it is about living a life of a wonderful lifestyle with financial security and financial comfort in front of you. That the mortgage is just a detail. It's not the big goal. And again, getting you focused on the big goal means that the mortgage takes a back seat to financial security and comfort. And that's what we're here for. So any way I can help and assist you on this journey to financial security, to make sure that you're making the right choices and that you're not doing the things that so-called experts are telling you to do because it sounds good, that emotionally it's appealing, only to find out it is not financially beneficial, call me, contact me. Direct line is 847-970-4239, or drop me an email at econarchy@ccmclending.com. And I'll be able to walk you through it. Make sure you're doing the right things with your mortgage, yes, but that's just one detail to make sure you're doing everything else the right way. Are you maxing out your retirement contributions annually? Are you paying off all the bad debt, the high interest non-deductible debt? Do you have ample cash reserves in case something happens? Remember, we advise you to have 12 months cash reserves in case you lose your job or have a medical crisis. And then finally, if you are putting your money into investments and having it work for you, are you doing it in a very diversified manner so that you don't have too much of a good thing or all your eggs in one basket? We don't want that to happen. We've seen so many, unfortunately, situations where that's occurred and people have regretted it. So make sure that you call us, you tap our knowledge on the fiscal literacy side of this, that you're doing all the right things to succeed and get to financial security. And if anyone you know, please make this video viral. Get this out to people so people know that there is someone who cares and does want to educate people so that they're doing the right things. And we're that person, that we can help you get to that goal of financial security. Hope you've enjoyed this Conarchys Corner. We look forward to talking to you in next week's Conarchys Corner. Till then, have a great weekend.